Hey, hi. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're gonna see how to create Hyperledger Indy network with Docker. So this video is completely hands-on one. So let's get started with the video without any further ado. So just a small slides over here to just walk you through what exactly we're gonna do. So here I will first show you the overall diagram of our setup. Then in today's video, we're gonna see complete setup with Docker, and in next videos we're gonna see a setup without Docker as well. So this is just an intro about me. I'm Akshay Kurekar, a blockchain developer and content creator. So you can connect on the YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. And yeah, this is our diagram. So what exactly we gonna do here? We have a four node of network. I hope if you're watching this video, how to set up Hyperledger Indy, it means you know what is Hyperledger Indy. This is the assumption for this video, and you want to set up the network, right? Or you want to test how the Hyperledger Indy works. So to give the overall view of Hyperledger Indy is completely identity solution where you can publish your schemas and generate a deed, and you can create a verifiable claims, verifiable credentials over there. So this is completely a set of identity management, or we can say it's a network for identity management use case where holder will come into the picture, verifier will come into the picture, and issuer will come into the picture. Okay, so for now in this video we are targeting to set up infra level the network, how to first set up the network, and then top of network we have multiple identities. Let's say the trustees, the stewards, and the endorser, the issuer, the verifier, and the holders. So in today's video we're going to talk about the network and the stewards and trustee. Okay, the other personas we're going to see in the next upcoming videos. So let's get started. So here the core components we have: node. In one network we have four different nodes. Okay, so this setup we are doing in Ubuntu 20.04. In local system, we are using the four node as single machine. But in ideal scenario, we can use different nodes as well. To split this particular node, we are using Docker. So one container will act as a one node. So here we will use four different container for to represent four different nodes. And then here we will spin up one ledger. Ledger will be the, it is like more or less browser, it's like a explorer. In we have Ethereum block explorer sort of thing, like that. If we have here explorer, we called it as a web server over here, or web ledger, where we can see all the transactions of node. When we set up the nodes, it will by default spin up the five transactions. And then whenever we are registering any schema or registering deed on this particular ledger, it will going to track the transaction for each and everything. And here we have a client with the pool. So pool is basically the ledger, but it is a way, it's like a gateway to interact with your ledger using node, using the client. So here we will set up one client machine. So in our use case, this will be the local machine itself. In Ubuntu, we'll set up the one container with CLI, which is going to initiate a pull. Okay. So this data will be resides in each and every node, but will create a pool to interact with that ledger. We're gonna set up a wallet over here inside pool to interact the ledger and to do all our tasks over here. So let's get started. So this is like general component overview. This is our repository. One network, yes, for this experiment we are going to use one network open source repository. And most important, this whole setup, what we're going to do, it's not a production grade. If you want to tweak it a production grade, there are certain ways to do that. So in upcoming videos I'm going to show you how to create a production grade network as well. But before going to production grade, it's very important to understand its nitty gritty and the core components using the test environment. So we are just planning to do that. So here again, just I explained, we have a client, we have a server CLI, we have a web server ledger, node 1, node 2, node 3, and node 4. So now let me just go to the repository. Here we have this repository, and I'll explain you this repository in my Ubuntu in better way. So let me just open my Ubuntu. I'm using here I'm using Windows. In Windows, I'm using WSL to get my Windows 20.04. Okay, so it's getting up. Yeah, it's up. So now let me do ls. I can say projects. I have already cloned the one repository, so you have to clone it. So it's inside my, if I'm not wrong, Indy setup. Yeah. So let me do one thing. Let me just open this particular folder in my VS Code. Yeah. So I assume you guys are developers, so you are pretty familiar with the editor and the WSL. If not, please please find some steps to install the WSL. It's pretty straightforward. If you are on a Windows or if you have Ubuntu machine, then it's completely fine. You don't need to do anything. Just simply clone the one network. And now the prerequisite for this is we require Docker for this. So let's, you can check, do we have Docker or not by using Docker PS. If you can see this command is running in your set, means you have the Docker installed. Okay. So now let me give you walkthrough about the complete folder structure and their core characteristics, or we can say the important parameters over here. So let me just increase my font little bit. So I hope this is pretty comfortable one, so you can see my directory properly. So the most important part here in this one network is the readme file. Please go through it. In readme file they have explained very it pretty detailed what. Here if we go, they have mentioned it, one network is not for production grade, of course. It's just to understand in developer point of view the different components in the Indie network. So if you want to run it locally, so we have certain steps over here. So I gathered all the steps and we're gonna follow those steps over here as well. But let me give you understanding of this. So most important file is this one, Docker file. Okay, so inside Docker file we have uh, we are using here one image which is already built-in image, and then using this image only we are running our complete set of different containers. But here we are using Docker Compose as well to define multiple containers. So let's understand how many containers we are defining here or we are going to run here. So here are very first the client one, right? To interact with my ledger, we have here client, and we have here web server which is going to host my ledger. This is what I mentioned about the web ledger. Ledger has multiple environment variables. Let's say the Genesis file, the IPs for that net node, ledger cache, Genesis. Now let's talk something about Genesis. What is Genesis? Genesis is nothing but the initial transactions or transition of the particular blockchain. Now in our case it would be transactions for setting up the nodes or adding nodes in that particular network. So by default we will get four or five, I think five transactions by default. And here we have this is about writing test. Okay, this is all about test cases thing. And then here is an important part, nodes. Now here we have defined the all the ports used by the nodes. So each node is using two ports. One is for their node and one is for client server. So here we are running. Okay, yeah. So two different ports for interaction within that node. This node itself hold one. This port is for their internal node to node communication, and this port is for running client on that particular node. So using this port only, we're gonna initiate my pull, or pull will going to interact to this node, and then other node. Let's say we have here four nodes now: node one, node two, node three, node four, right? So node 1, node 3, node 4 is going to interact on their primary ports. Okay, so this will be their internal private communication. And then if they want to interact out of their network, so using their client port, this is their client port. Using client port, they're going to interact to the client or to the ledger. Okay, so this is pretty important, we need to understand. And this is the standard what we follow. We must need to give two ports, one for their internal communication and one for their client communication. Okay, so here we are using again a base image, and the certain parameters are defined over there. And we have attached their volumes for data persistent, and to keep my data persist when I run my node network at one time, whatever the data we are generating, we are just catching it in my volumes. Okay, so this is the one primary file where we have taken a look. Now the another important one is this one, manage. So this is the script to initiate my all the operations. This is, you can say, this is a gateway script. Here you will get, and if you read these scripts properly, you're gonna understand the things in a pretty detailed, right? So if I want to give you the quick overview, so these all are command, these are the list of commands which you can run using the scripts. So these scripts will help you to build the complete containers, the network containers, the nodes. This will help us to write let's to start my network. This will help to start only web server. If you want to run only web, start web, we can see all the logs from network. And then if you want to remove the container, if you want to down the complete all the containers, you just simply need to write down or remove. So now here is a one difference between down and stop. So if you do stop, it will just going to stop my container, it won't remove or it won't delete my volumes. So still, if you, let's say if you started the network, you did some operations on that for 30 minutes or 30 transactions, something like that, and you stop it and again you start it, so you can observe that all the transaction will be stored in your ledger as is. But if you down it, you will see all the transaction will get removed, so everything will be vanished if you do down. Rebuild, rebuild is like rebuilding the content, so it's like similar if you did any changes in the code, so you can do simply build or you can do simply rebuild. Okay, and the other are most related to the CLS stuffs. Generate secrets, if you want to generate the secrets. Generate deed. Deed is like decentralized identifier in our use case. So I'll show you how deeds, and there are other pretty good things. So here we have IndyCLI as well. We're gonna explore IndyCLI some commands as well. So now, whatever the inside manage, you have seen multiple commands we can observe here: start, delete, right? Down, start, and all those things. So these all scripts are written inside this scripts folder. You can see init genesis. This is important for creating genesis file with respect to the IP addresses which will take from your local. And then start CLI, sorry, start clients. This is important to initiate your client. Start node, this is important for running your node. You can see by default we're gonna run the sandbox ledger, name with the sandbox. So this is a test environment, so they already have defined each and everything over here. So please go through it, it's a very interesting one. And then last one, web server. So this is a script is responsible for starting my ledger with respect to this genesis URL. Now this genesis URL will be built runtime when we'll start. So this manage script, this init genesis is going to define my genesis URL and all other things. So by default we have here this one. Yeah, and here at the end, we will try to perform the operation of adding a new node as well using this README file, by following this README file. Okay, so as of now, let's get started with the project, right? So here one more thing I want to keep you on notice. Here is a one folder called server. So this is a server is responsible for showing up the ledger. So here we have anchor.py. So this is a Python code, right? So this is completely the front end code. And what exactly it will do, it will connect with the node, and from node it will fetch all the ledger data, and it is going to represent the ledger data in a web browser with respect to the type of transactions. Yeah. So now change directory to one, unless we have manage over here. So what we just need to do to start the ledger, manage start. Okay, let's see. You can say it's running, it's showing me running on low 9000 port. Now let's switch on the 9000 port, local host 9000. Yep, now you can see we got the ledger up, and I can see the six transactions. So okay, so I will show you one more thing. So here let's try to define something. So we need 32 character. So I have here earlier defined one transaction, so we'll try to use that. So now let's define a different seed. So we need 32 bit long. So just let me change 2 bit here, 5 6, and yeah, let's copy this seed. If I get here this seed, this is 6 character. Okay, what to write? Hi. Hi, 000. Okay. Alice is like Bob. Let's try Bob. And type endorser, register. Now you can see we got it register. And if you see the transactions in the ledger, let's see the domain. You see the 7 record is there. So this is how you can see all the transactions over here. So very first transaction is uh, this trusty one, which is going, it is like a owner of network sort of thing. And then trustee will onboard the different steward is bound with their node. Each node has their own steward, you can see. So here we can find 4 steward. And after that, this transaction was done by me only in the testing time. So here we have our Bob one. Yeah, I can see the type name Alice Bob, role is endorser with the deed. So this is this where is my deed? Let me go back. So now one more thing here. If we uh, if we try to use the same deed again, hi 000, right, and try to do nothing, like let's say create a transactions, you can see I'll get the same deed. I can prove that. Let's go back. Let's go inside domain. And if you refresh, previously I'll have a 7 record. If I refresh, I have still 7 records, because duplicates is not allowed over here. We have already Bob registered with the same deed. If you are registering with the same deed, you are not allowed to do so. Okay, so you can see. So this is my deed. So name, this name is nothing but my deed. Okay, now we have performed this particular thing. So if we go back to my Ubuntu, I can see here, let's do Docker PS to check how many containers is running over here. If I do Docker PS, I have multiple container running here. One, two, three, two, three, one. Yeah, 4. All these are running, and one with the web server. Yeah. So yes, these all are running fine. We have seen the web server. It's working completely fine. Now let's do one more thing. Let's try to shut it down. Or okay, let me show you before that. Uh, manage logs. Manage logs is a pretty good command where you can see all the logs, what exactly happening under the hood. So whatever the things we did on that ledger, it's this all is you can see all these things. And before that, in the initial stages, the syncing of their nodes and all those things will be here. So you have to keep eye on these logs. If something goes wrong, it will show up here what exactly you are missing or how it's going wrong. Okay, so by observing logs you can do pretty good things. This is very helpful for troubleshooting. And now let's run a command, manage stop. Let me show you the difference between the stop and down. Now just we did is stop here. Okay, earlier we had here 7 records, right? 7 records is there. Now let me stop this. It takes some time. Yeah, it's done. Now let's try to refresh this one. This should not work now. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, now let's try to start again. Manage start. It will bring up my containers again. My containers are started. Now let's try to refresh this one. It will take some time. It's taking a little more time. Yeah, it's up now. See, my ledger count is not decreased. Is this is as is, right? Now let's do one thing. Let's do manage down. Now see what it will do. First it will stop the container, then it will remove the containers as well. Let's wait for a few seconds. Yep, removed. Now you can see within 11 seconds it's removed everything. And if I want to start my ledger again, okay, now I'm doing manage start, what it will show me. If I refresh this, it will take just a few seconds to run the container and spin up everything. Okay, so I was facing some little issue. That's why I need to switch it to the VM. So what I just did, I just give you the quick overview. Instead of running in WSL, I just shifted to the my uh, VM, like one GCP VM, and then here I'm running the uh, Docker, like same. We are running here one network. So what exactly I want to show you here. So the practice what exactly we were doing to remove my one network completely and then run it again and then see how many transaction will be there, right? So let's try that practice over here. So previously we have to give here some transactions, right? So let's try some dummy transaction over here. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So we have to give here 32-bit, right? 32. So this is my 10 digits. 20, 30, 32, right? Ls Akshay, register. Yeah, we have registered it successfully, and I have shown you cannot register the duplicate. So I just trying to maintain here multiple dates, and one is none, and then we hook here Bob. Oh, right. So this is a fresh ledger, so that's why we have only 5 entries over here. If I refresh, it should show more two. It should add more two. Yeah, they added 2 entries. So now here we have 7 entries, and I have shown you already. When we stop, it won't affect anything. But if when you delete it, so how to delete the network completely, right? To delete, we have to give manage and then down, right? So let's down it. So what it's gonna do, it will first stop by all the container and then remove the containers with their volumes and network as well attached to their container, right? So it's taking some time. Yeah, it's already removed. Now if we try to do manage start again. Okay, so now this time when we'll do manage start, the container will be new, right? So you won't get that data. So previously here it is total 7 ledger, right? So let me just do manage start over here, It's creating. Hopefully, it should not throw any error now. Yeah, just refresh. Yeah, it takes some time to up it internally. Just give a few minutes, bro. Don't broke. Yeah, let's check a log. Manage logs. Yeah, it's running. Hopefully, we are getting good logs. Starting in the node 2 is getting started. You can see all the transaction alias node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. Yeah, I'm getting some logs. Hopefully, now it's recovering. Now it's getting started. It's pretty good logs. Good log, good log. Yeah, ledger sync. Now it should be there. Yeah, yes. Now it gets started from fresh. So you can see here we have only 5 ledger entries. Okay, so this is how we set up one network. So now we will see more on the how to add multiple nodes into it.